the road to the Super Bowl. But many of us are kind of in agreement like, they probably are not going to lose, right? They're sitting at 11-1 right now, and they're looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. I would say number 3 in my NFL power rankings, maybe even number 4. But they are looking pretty good. When you talk about do they need to lose, the fans will obviously say no. Other people will say yes. And then the haters are out there that say they will need to lose them all. But truth be told, guys, there are good losses in the NFL. Truth be told, there are losses that kind of change the whole outcome of the season. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs last season on Christmas Day. They lost to the Raiders. They didn't lose again until week 11 of this season. The Philadelphia Eagles this season, they were up Schitt's Creek. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Go on to their week off. Bada bing, bada boom. They're the best team in the NFL now. It is nice to win all of your games, guys. It is nice to go 10-0, 12-0, 14-0, etc. But the worst feeling ever is to lose that game in the Super Bowl, championship game, sub-state, whatever. I have been on many teams that have gone 10-0, 12-0, 13-0. But every time we get that one loss is in the championship game because teams come out and expose us. Go back to my JUCO year. We were 12-0. Going into the JUCO championship game versus Heartland, Texas, down there in mid-America. We had the worst offensive line I've ever seen my entire life, but we were putting up points because our quarterback was balling out. Quarterback goes down championship game, bada bing, bada boom. Our offensive line sucks. Quarterback's getting sacked. Mark, when I ask this question, think of this logically. Think of this as like a season-defining loss. Do the Detroit Lions need to lose moving forward?
As you were talking about this whole topic, the only thing I can begin to think about was in 2012 when we got Peyton Manning here. We went on like an 11-game win streak going into the playoffs. And then then we lost an epic game. I was there, freezing cold, to the Ravens. Everybody knows the game, 3 overtimes. The late pass to Jacoby Jones from Flacco. They call it the Mile High Miracle. I think in their stadium, I think they have like a big old thing dedicated to it, which drives me nuts. But whatever. So I think that when you talk about this, that's what it reminds me of. So maybe if we did lose one of those games before that, maybe that would have helped. I don't know. I'm not totally sure losing is going to help. Like, I think you just either win or lose. It depends on the game any given Sunday.
Yeah, so the Detroit Lions are a team that is not really flawed, but they're very, very injured, right? They're very, very hurt. They have a lot of good pieces. They have a nice little foundation built. They're a really, really good team. But Hoffy, when you look at this team sitting at 11-0 right now, they had yet another defensive lineman, a defensive player go down on them on Thursday. They do play the Green Bay Packers on Thursday. Then they play the Buffalo Bills and 49ers and the Vikings and the Bears to end out the season. Do they need to lose a game or 2 even going into the playoffs to really make a Super Bowl push?
I mean, it's going to be tough to beat a team twice, such as Green Bay. The Buffalo game's going to be that's going to be a tough game. That's the potential Super Bowl preview. I know we keep saying put a fork in them, but Brock Purdy coming back, Bosa coming back. Don't let the 49ers, kind of find their mojo and get hot and come in. They're actually
mojo.
Yeah, they're actually playing in San Francisco, but don't let a team like San Francisco beat you, because that could be a team that might sneak in, win the NFC West, and they're coming in with confidence, and they could, potentially beat you in the playoffs. But I think that they're gonna you can't go 16-1. It's not going to happen. But I think if you're going to lose a game, it's going to be a team like Buffalo. If you split a division with Green Bay, that's fine. I think those are the only 2 teams that you can lose and be okay. But don't lose to a team like San Francisco. Give them any confidence. Don't lose to Minnesota, another team you could see in the playoffs. And obviously you can't lose to Chicago. But I think that they lose one of 2, whether it's to Green Bay or Buffalo. I think they lose one of them, but I think they'll be all right, in the end.
So here are my thoughts, right? I think they're going to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to beat the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to to beat the Bears. I think they're going to beat the Vikings. I don't know who their other game is that they play. But I think they're going to Buffalo. Yes, I think they're going to go into Week 18 and they're going to be 15-1. They're going to be squarely locked in that number one overall seed. They're going to be squarely locked in that into the NFC North Championship divisional crown. And then they're not going to play their starters Week 18 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Then they're going to get a little bit of rust on them because the starters haven't played now for 2 straight weeks going into a divisional round when they got to play a team like the Green Bay Packers that have been battling all season long. They want to knock you off of your throne. And then you got to play, maybe it's the Minnesota Vikings. Hell, maybe it's Kirk Cousins. Or no. Maybe it's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had to battle the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks to get there. You haven't played
They've already beat them.
Yeah. The Lions haven't played a meaningful game in over a month. They haven't played their starters for a full game for 3 straight games. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we rusty. And a team you cannot start slow on is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they got the defense and they got the offense that can compete with the Detroit Lions. The truth be told is, guys, if the Detroit Lions need to lose either to the Buffalo Bills, like Coffee said, to the Green Bay Packers, or even to the San Francisco 49ers. They need to lose before Week 16, before Week 17, just so they can get that little smack in the face. Like, you know what? Maybe we're not as good as people think we are. Maybe we're not as good as 16-1. Maybe we just need to, wake up a little bit, fix a little bit of this, fix a little bit of that. Because like Mark, in your Mile High thing, right, versus the Baltimore Ravens, if you would have lost, you've been like, man, our right side of our offensive line just isn't that good. Yes, we've been winning a lot of games. So why fix it, right? Winning cures all. If you would have lost, I don't know, say the Kansas City Chiefs, you get blown up on the right side. We need to address that now. This is not going to happen. It could have changed the whole outcome. It could have pushed you, as Super Bowl champs or something, right? Losing is never a bad thing, but I think the Detroit Lions need to lose soon, right? They cannot go into Week 18, 15-1. They cannot go into the playoffs, resting their starters for the last 2 weeks. They need to lose. They need some type of competition to kind of reset themselves. Mark, you're kind of nodding your head. What's up?
As we talk about this, I think out of all the teams, I kind of think sneakily it could be the 49ers. The 49ers are in a division that's, let's just say, a shit show, and all of the teams are bad, and anybody can still win it. So I feel like that's going to be an important game for them. That's a must-win. I feel like every game going forward for them is a must-win. So, and I just feel like Shanahan might be able to scheme up some stuff and be able to beat the Lions. You just never know. I feel like they might be that sneaky team.
Yeah, and just to compound of what you said, many other Lions fans are looking forward to the San Francisco 49ers game as the revenge game, as of like, hey, they knocked us out last season. Let's go out there and knock their dicks in the dirt. So maybe the Lions get a little too hyped for it, right? And the 49ers are playing for everything, and they smack them in the mouth real early, like, oh, crap, now what's happened? So that would be a good loss. But Hoffy, you said you don't want to lose to the 49ers because that might get their mojo going, right? And then you have to play them potentially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and as you said, a loss that teaches you a lesson. Look, none better than your Kansas City Chiefs. They got absolutely annihilated in the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. And that offensive line was a huge problem from Pat Mahomes. And since then they've corrected it, and they're going for a three-peat. Whereas if they had won that game, or maybe it was a close game and they didn't get blown out and the offensive line wasn't exposed, maybe we'd be looking at a different, Kansas City Chiefs team that doesn't have as strong an offensive line as they have. So a lot of times losses can teach you, a valuable lesson about yourself.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I tell my kids is we learn more from a loss than a win. Even though I am a big dick Saturday morning after a after we throttled a team, I am the biggest asshole Saturday morning film session you have ever seen because I want to knock their egos down. Like, no, you guys suck, right? Get out of here. So I mean, do we all agree that the Detroit Lions need to lose a game or two before week 17?
I don't know if they need to lose one, but I know they might lose one to possibly Buffalo, possibly Green Bay, and possibly the Niners.
Winning as many games in a row as they have is tough to do in the NFL, and it just that pressure continues to pile up. Look at the Patriots. Look at the Indianapolis Colts. All those years that with Peyton Manning, they were 12-0, 13-0.
Right.
Trying and then they would just lay an egg. So yeah, I think it's I don't think you want to go into the playoffs winning. What would it be at that point? Like 15 games in a row. So now you're going to have to win 3 more. You're going to have to win 18 games in a row.
Yeah.
That's a tough ask. So, and again, I don't think you want to go into week 17 resting your starters and lose that way either. Hopefully, maybe they're still fighting with the Philadelphia Eagles for some sort of home field advantage. But that's another thing that I'm not a fan of is resting the starters, especially if you're going to have a bye. At least, let them play the first quarter, if not the first half, if you want to, get them some rest. But you can't, it's you're paying them all this amount of money. You can't be, benching players, resting them, coming in 2 weeks later all rusty.
Right. But on the flip side of the coin, everybody and their dog getting hurt in Detroit. So you might have to save themselves the last 2 weeks just to get a team on the field come playoff time. But Jim Powell says, good losses mean tweets by college quarterbacks. Thank God for the L. Jesus. And Laura says, yes, a loss is needed. No questions asked. A loss is needed, especially to her Minnesota Vikings come week 18. Whoop that
I was
ass,
just going
baby.
to say that. I was like, Trevor wants it to be the Vikings.
Yeah. And truth be told, how big of momentum would that be for the Vikings knocking off the 15-1 to Detroit Lions week 18? I don't care if they benched their starters. I don't care if Jared Goff didn't play. I don't care if Amon-Ra, he didn't play. You still beat the Detroit Lions. Gave them their second loss
What
on the
quarterback
season.
is it going to be? Is it going to be Daniel Jones or is it going to be Sam Darnold? Like, which one is it?
Sam Darnold is injured right now, so it might be Daniel Jones.
I mean, you need a good quarterback, so I really hope that they get play out of Daniel Jones if we see what he done in New York. Just saying.
Did Mark really just say that Daniel Jones was a good quarterback?
No, I'm saying